God, that's hot. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you found your way here, you're obviously lost, but it's okay because I'm glad to have you. So I have a few thoughts that I'm going to share today about dupe products, about knockoff products, about anything in between. Basically, if it shares a similar color story, I kind of want to talk about those products that come onto the market. I do have my tea here. We're ready. You can't see it, but here on this side, little Taurus mug, because I'm Taurus, that's just how it is, I'm a stubborn bitch, and no makeup because I'm lazy and didn't want to do it. So let's just get started, let's get into it. I'm basically going to go in a couple of parts where first I'm going to talk about knockoffs, then we'll get into more dupes and stuff, so let's get to it. So the first thing I want to talk about is actual knockoff products. Now these are the products that I consider knockoffs because they give this illusion that they are the actual thing. Like, I believe it was James Charles. I know, but this is a good example. So it was the James Charles X Morphe palette, and he actually did it on his channel where he checked out the one that it was actual, like an original, his one. And then he also had one that was made in some other country, sold by some shady market business that looked exactly like his, except wasn't his actual product. Those are completely wrong. You should not be advertising something as it is not the actual thing if you know it's not the actual thing, you know? It's like the whole thing with like the Chanel bags, the Gucci bags, where they sell knockoffs. That's what I'm talking about in regards to knockoff makeup. Those are completely and totally wrong because you're false advertising. You're not actually getting the actual product, and that could be really dangerous. Like, I believe it was the Kylie lip kits that were tested in California, and they found that they had, like, the fake ones, not the real ones, the fake ones, had, like, I don't know, bacteria and a bunch of other disgusting things that I don't even want to mention because they're so gross. So those things where you're getting it at a really discounted price and it's sold to you as if it's the real thing, those are completely wrong. They put consumers at danger. They completely rip off the whole company and the brand's creativity and the creator's creativity in the James Charles and Kylie case. So those completely bad, completely wrong. I would never recommend buying anything like that. And the thing is though, most people don't buy those knowingly or intentionally, which is why I think it's so wrong to jump on people if they do end up getting scammed and getting the fake product. I've seen a lot of people where if there's like a fake Kylie kit and someone bought it, they're like, oh, you should have known better, like you should have done your research. If it was like 50% off, if it was $1, you should have known better. But I mean, there are some people who just aren't that big in the beauty community and wouldn't know any better. So I don't think we should shame people who get duped into it, but I also think it's a terrible idea. If you really want the product that badly, just pay for the actual thing. You should, I mean, I'm not saying you should know because that feels like victim blaming when like someone does buy something that is fake, but you should do your research. You should know that if something is 90% off and it's sold at an outdoor vendor or something, or offline from some foreign website on the black web, you should know. You should know that you shouldn't do that. Don't buy that kind of stuff. I think those are completely and totally wrong. Knockoffs are bad. I just wanted to cover that before I get into what else I'm going to say, because I feel like some people are going to get confused and maybe think that I'm justifying or defending knockoffs, whereas I actually want to create the distinction between a knockoff and a dupe, because knockoffs are false advertising. They could potentially endanger the consumer, whereas dupes I have other opinions about, and I'm going to get into that next. We're going to start the real tea. I don't think dupes are bad. I don't necessarily agree all of the time because, you know, there are some products that do rip off the creator and blah blah blah. So like, I understand that aspect of why some people might disagree with dupes, but then coming from the other side, you know, there are people who can't afford a $65 Huda palette but still love the color story. Like, I'm one of those people. I can't afford to be, you know, making it rain on Miss Huda and still pay my bills and whatnot. So in that aspect, I think dupes have a justifiable place in the market. It's like, the way I like to put it to people when they get on me about justifying dupes is if you're walking through Walmart and you come across the Oreos. Now, we all know that there are the regular Oreos that are marketed as Oreos. They are the Oreos. And then there's a little distance away, the Walmart brand Oreos. And they're not advertised as the same thing. They're not like Oreos and Oreos. You know that there's a difference. You know one's the brand name and one's the store name. Like, you know that. And, you know, there's normally like $1.50 difference between the two. Now, I mean, it's the same thing for makeup. You know, there's the one that's advertised as the brand, and there's the one that's advertised as kind of like the store brand knockoff. Most people in that situation would not hesitate to buy the cheaper Oreos. Not Oreos. The cheaper knockoff Oreos. The cheaper, not knockoff, the dupe Oreos. Dupe Oreos, can I say that? Okay. Well, most people wouldn't hesitate to buy the dupe Oreos, which is why I think it's so ridiculous if we're makeup shopping and we come across like Modern Renaissance versus like the little Wet n Wild Rosé in the Air palette, and people are like, oh, that's a dupe, that's stealing the color story, but then they wouldn't hesitate to buy the dupe Oreos. And I know some people are like, well, it's the creative process that went into like coming up with the color story. You wouldn't have to come up with a color story for Oreos. Yeah, but you had to come up with like the ingredients and stuff. I don't know. That, to me, that's an extremely comparable thing. And I just don't get why people have such a problem, like why people have such a distinction in their mind between the two. Because to me, if it's cheaper, it's not advertising to be the same thing at all, so that's fine. It's not like, oh, here's a Huda palette and here's the knockoff Huda palette, like I mentioned previously. It's advertised as a different thing, yet with a similar vibe to it. I think it goes for makeup too. I don't get why people are so offended and get so up in their business about, dupe makeup. I personally do own a dupe. Shop Hush was going out of business. If you know what Shop Hush is, it's not here anymore, but they're going out of business and they had everything on their website for like a huge markdown. So I got this little after hours palette. It was like $3 or something crazy, and it is a dupe for a Huda palette. Oh god, I don't want you to see my messy room. So it is a dupe for one of the Huda palettes. I don't remember which one. I don't know, it's like a pink tone one. Anyway, I did buy that. I don't really see a problem with it. It's not saying, oh, this is Huda's brand. Like, this is a Huda palette. Our ingredients are completely the same. They're acknowledging that the ingredients are different. It's not a Huda palette. It just has a similar color story. And to me, you can't trademark a color story. Like, I can't be wearing this orange shirt and then say to you, oh, this is my color story. This is mine. If you made a shirt that was exactly like this, then yeah, the brand could sue you. But if you made a shirt in this color just with a different design, I don't see how the brand could sue you. So I really don't understand, like, why people get so up in their business about dupes. And I'll never understand that, because as long as it's not a knockoff, as long as it's not advertised as the same thing, and as long as it doesn't contain like the same ingredients, the same exact everything, I don't see a problem. I just really don't. I never will see a problem with that. And I know some people will get on me about even owning this, but to me, it's a comparable product for a much better price, and I don't have the money to spend $27 on the actual Huda palette. So this little $3 thing, it works. And I like the color story. I'm not gonna say I don't. I'd consider purchasing the Huda one, but if you're really just getting into makeup and getting into experimental makeup, or, finding your place in makeup, I don't always think that buying the most expensive things is a good idea. But at the same time, a lot of tutorials are for, the more expensive palettes. And I'm not saying all tutorials. I know there's a huge, 80% market where it's indie brands and drugstore brands. I know that's there. But a lot of the ones where you see the actual beauty gurus that get advertised by YouTube to people who are just getting into makeup and who don't know what to search for are using things like ABH and Huda, and I don't know if Jeffree Star even has any dupes around, but most of those people are using big brand. And so if you're just getting in, yeah, you're going to think, okay, this big modern Renaissance palette. I have to get that, but I can't afford it because I'm just getting into it. So what is a similar thing? And I think that's completely fine. I don't think it's really that big of a deal. It's not like someone's advertising to me that modern Renaissance is this Wet n Wild palette, like I said. So I don't mind. I don't think dupes are that bad. Come at me if you want. I know there's a whole lot of discourse about, copyright and trademark and all of that stuff and going after people for stealing your ideas, and I totally get why, as, a brand owner or creator, you'd be upset. But at the same time, I think you have to look at that other side of, well, you don't own the color story. Like, you don't own these colors. Anyone can throw them together. It's going to be okay as long as they don't copy your name or steal your identity or anything like that. It's not that big of a deal. That's one of the things that I don't like about the beauty community is everyone gets so up in arms about everything. Like some things you just don't have to care about. And this is one of those things where I just feel like you don't have to care about it as much as you do. If you don't like dupes, don't buy dupes. It's that simple. If there wasn't a market, it wouldn't exist, is basically my thing. So if you're not into that and you don't want to support that, don't support it. Just like how I'm not particularly into Jeffree Star's. I don't support Jeffree Star by buying his products. I think that's a perfectly valid thing to do. You as a single consumer cannot control the whole environment, and you just don't get so bothered about things that you can't control. I feel like the whole beauty community is going to die of high blood pressure because people just get so up in other people's business and so up in arms about every little thing. It's like there's always a drama getting going on. There's always something. So this is one of those things where you don't have to worry about it. If you don't like it, don't support it. Just stop freaking out everyone about everything and try and understand other perspectives, because I'm really trying to do that, where I do try and understand, okay, from the brand's perspective, this kind of sucks that someone stole your color story, but also from the consumer perspective, it's nice to be able to buy something cheaper that has okay quality. And so there's a bunch of different perspectives going in. Everyone's going to have a different perspective on everything. You can't control that. You can't control life like that. So I wish the beauty community would stop getting up in arms about dupes, unless they're knockoffs. If they're knockoffs, yeah, go after them and punish them and put them in prison, but don't freak out over dupes. That's just my opinion. If you want to freak out over dupes, you're perfectly welcome to. I understand you too. If you do take the side of the brand owner and say, yeah, this color story was stolen and I'm not going to support it, I understand you. I'm not doing this to bash anyone. I'm just trying to give a different perspective on why I think dupes are okay and why some people might not be adverse to buying dupes. So I fully understand that this was kind of a ranty video and that you had to look at my face talking to you without makeup for however long you watched this. Hopefully till the end if you made it here. But I understand that this probably wasn't the most pleasant video, but I feel like we need to have this discussion in the community and have it without everyone just getting mad at each other all the time. Have it while trying to understand each other, because, a lot of things would go more smoothly in the beauty community if we just had open dialogue without getting our pitchforks out, I feel like. I just hope that, this helps someone see a different perspective. Please, if you want to have discourse in the comments, go ahead, have discourse in the comments. Yeah, that's all I really have to say about this. Thank you for listening to me rant without makeup while I have tea with me. You're always welcome to rant with me if you want to create a similar style video or respond to me or something crazy because you think I'm the stupidest person in the world. That's your right. That's your prerogative. I'm not going to interfere with that. So go ahead. Have fun. Get with it. Thank you for watching. Don't subscribe, or I don't know. Just go on with your day. Be happy. Don't get up in arms over things that at the end of the day don't truly matter if you're not supporting them. And bye.